Right, hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Now today we're going to have a look at this very old Mosquito, de Havilland Mosquito from Airfix. Now a few words first before I crack on with that. These the videos I've been putting up recently have got lots of positive feedback. I was a bit overwhelming actually. The positivity is really great, and the amount of good memories that these, particularly the Matchbox kits, seem to have among the community is excellent. And it's people telling us their stories about when they used to build them, where they built them, and obviously a lot of people from all over the world, from America to Australia, New Zealand, really all over. If you put a comment in the on any videos, just put a little flag or just mention where you're from, just the country, just I might put a little map up on the wall and put a pin in for every country I get a mention from. So if you want to do that, that'd be great. Obviously don't put your full address down, that's not necessary. Just your country where you are, and that'll be great. And I'll just try and build up some sort of record of viewers from around the world. But this one has come from a chap called Darren, just up the road from where I live. He sent me this one and a frog kit as well. No charge, but just says build a model, do what you want with it. So I thought I might as well get on with it. I mean, let's just look at this. The box artwork is fantastic. So you got Mosquito coming in, cannons firing, guns firing, bombs dropping, obviously Axis shipping in the background there. But it's all action, it's all happening there in these great old boxes. I think you probably remember seeing them in the model shop, the end sticking out like that, and you're just desperate to see what model you could find. So this is obviously de Havilland Mosquito. It's got a price of £4 there, so this has probably been resold and resold again, so it's probably way more expensive than what it would have been originally, because this is a 1972 kit. So let's have a look. I mean, the transfers I think will be usable, as per usual with all the vintage builds I'm going to do. I'm going to try and use the transfers that come with the kit. Yep. Right, if I've got a complaint, I could write to Airfix down in London. I don't think it's going to be there these days, but never mind. We'll have a quick flick through the instructions. Oh, look at that, which are pretty nice. Yellowed a little bit, but no tears, nothing too bad with them, no moth-eaten corners. So I think we've got a choice of 3 Mosquitoes. I'm obviously going to go with the one with the big cannon on the front. And I'll try and do what the box art is actually. I'll do the box art. So we've got the bombs, the cannon, and the 4, I assume it's Browning machine guns in the nose there. So that's going to be the Mark 18. So we'll do the Mark 18. It doesn't have rockets. The rockets come with it, but we're going to put the bombs on instead. And the Mark 18, right, yeah, it's your standard grey over green over grey on the surface. So we'll go with that. Let's have a look at the parts. They look okay, pretty flash free for Airfix. See if the fuselage halves go together. Giving us a bit of trouble. Okay, that's not too bad. I think we'll get away with that. That looks pretty good. Almost Matchbox-like. Oh, we've got the big old stand as well. Big Airfix stand. I think I might use that. I think we might use the stand on this one to put it in the flying pose. So we've got wings, engine nacelles, spinners, nose, props. I think we've got a choice of propellers as well, if I remember rightly, from this kit. I might be wrong actually. I might be. Oh no, there's different choices of propellers. So you got the big paddle ones or the normal thinner ones. We have an instrument panel with some detail on. We have our bombs. That's obviously going to be under the nose bit with a cannon in it, I think. We're not going to do the rockets, and if we're going to have it in the flying position, we'll have the undercarriage up, so we won't need them. But otherwise, have we got any pilots? Yes, we do. We've got pilot and co-pilot. Probably bomb aimer as well. That looks fairly straightforward. Let's see how it builds. So the first thing to do, he says there's no tears in it, I've just gone and torn it. So basically we're building the cockpit and bringing the fuselage halves together. Right, let's get a start on that. As you can see, we've done some work on the fuselage, basically got it brought it together, got the cockpit painted, just the standard green, interior green, bit of black here and there on the dashboard, instrument panel, etc, etc. The pilots will go in later. I've joined the fuselage halves together. There was a bit of a step, so I've just filled it and sanded it flat, so we'll see what it looks like once we've got some primer on. Now obviously the nose had to be changed, and there was a score line to follow, which I've followed, but it's a bit wonky, a bit skew with. That's the nose to go on, so that's been flattened. That's pretty smooth. So all I've got is a big old sanding stick here. It's a Flory Models one. I don't think they do them anymore. And basically, I just want to like try and keep this flat as possible to get a nice straight edge. Don't want to get it chamfered too much, and hopefully don't want to go too far. There's still a slight step there, but there's a bottom plate goes on there, and I think that with a drop of glue might do all right. So I'll clean that up a bit more, and we'll put some glue on. We'll get the nose on, and then we'll get the wings on, and we'll see what she looks like. Okay, I have moved on a bit more with the Mosquito, so I've basically built the main structures together: the wings, tail planes, engine nacelles. Look how the lights look. They look very nice, don't they? Fit together pretty good. Like I say, I've had to put a bit of filler down the fuselage, but what I'm going to do is, like I said, I put the canopy on so the pilots are in there. I don't know if you can see them. They went in okay. Like I say, you're not going to see much of the interior, so I'll need to mask the canopy up first. It's going to be a bit tricky because there's a frame that should be along there, which is sort of molded softly. So I'm going to do it by cutting small bits of tape, Tamiya masking tape, and sort of building up around the area that I want masking, and maybe going in with a scalpel just to get some nice clean edges. But it's a nice clear sharp canopy, but it's just a bit thick. But what I'm going to do after I've done that is then get a coat of primer on, and then we're going to see what horrors we've got. You know, maybe at the back here, certainly possibly around the nacelles there, but we will have a look. Let's get the canopy masked up first. So little strips of Tamiya masking tape, and we'll get that built up. It's going to be a bit tedious and a bit boring, so I think I might put a podcast on while I'm doing that. Draken the Felt, that's the one you want to listen to, with the Naval Man. Okay, now we're going to get back on with the Mosquito. It's been several months since I picked this one up, so it's been a while since the last video, although it's obviously been a split second for yourselves. So let's pick up where we have masked the canopy and the little navigation lights underneath. So they're all masked up with mask all and thin strips of Tamiya masking tape. Next job is to go outside and give it some primer, which is this. So once that's done, I'll see what other issues I've got, whether any panel lines aren't fitting very well. I know I'm going to have an issue around the nose, but I really can't tell until I get some primer on it. So I'm going to go outside and prime it up in grey, and then we'll see what the damage is, or how much work's required to get it into some sort of fit state. But otherwise, it looks pretty good, and it's a lovely shape, this Mosquito, isn't it? Very nice. Now we have the primer on. We can see we've got a little bit of work to do on that sort of spine down the back there. There's a little bit of a seam to sort out. We have a seam on the nose to sort out. Possibly a little bit of work on these back nacelles, just like flatten them off a little bit. Otherwise, there's a little bit of work on the horizontal stabilizer there, which might just, a little run of glue over that might just blend the primer into it. It's very, very hairline seam to sort out. And possibly a little bit of work on the undercarriage doors, and obviously the Bombay doors do need to have a seam down it, so I'll need to put that in and just sort of level these ones out a bit. But otherwise, it's a pretty good fit, and again, lovely shape of the Mosquito there. I think Airfix have captured it lovely. So we're going to get the old Tamiya filler out, and we're going to just basically run that whole seam down there with a little bit of filler, flatten it off, and try and keep the curve on the fuselage, which isn't that easy. A little bit more on that front nose bit as well. But I think that'll do it, and then we'll get it flattened off and get it reprimed, and we'll have another look. Right, so I've cleaned that all up, done the seam work, flattened it all off, and given it another coat of primer, and it looks pretty good, or as good as it's going to get. You really have to know when to draw the line with preparing a model. Obviously, the better you prepare it, the better finish you're going to get, but when it becomes tedious and unenjoyable, it's time to pack it in and just move on with the project. The colours I'm going to use basically is Tamiya medium sea grey RAF and RAF dark green from AK. So they're going to be me two colours, because it basically is just two colours. I'm going to base the whole lot with Tamiya sort of Japanese navy grey. So it's like a darker grey, so I'm going to base coat the whole lot with that. So I've already got the airbrush loaded up with it, so it's like a 50-50 mix of AK Real Colours high capacity thinners, or compatibility thinners I should say. And we're basically just going to coat the whole model with a light coat of the dark grey. Right, simple as that. So I'll do the whole model and then we'll come back and get the lighter grey on. Right, so we have the dark grey on there. It's just a bit patchy, but I just wanted to get a base coat on there. Now we've got the lighter grey in the airbrush. So basically just going to try and pick out some panel highlights. Again, you don't have to be too precise. Just give it some highlights on the raised areas, as it were. So basically, oh, it looks a bit rough on the, it looks terrible on the phone, but it's much more subtle in real life. So I'm going to do the rest of the model and then we'll come back and we'll see what it looks like. But it looks a lot more subtle like that in real life. I can't believe this. That really is bizarre looking at it through the phone. I really must improve me. Now that's the grey complete. Again, it looks much harsher under the light and the camera on the phone than it does in real life. I'm looking at the two images here and they kind of don't look very similar, but at least it gives you the idea of what we're going for. So it's got a slightly mottled effect in real life, not on the camera, but as you can see on like the leading edges and the trailing edges and around the engine cowls, I've given it a slightly heavier coat just to sort of give some impression of different materials, different, you know, the paint weathering in a slightly different way. So that's where we are with them. I've done the spinners and the props. I'm not too keen on the spinners myself. I need to do a bit more work on them. Going off the box art, it's like a lightish greeny colour, and it says duck egg blue or duck egg green on the instructions. So again, I'm not 100% sure, but I will be doing some more work on them because I'm not happy about them at all. The white line's not very straight. Obviously there's no transfer for it, so I need to paint it by hand. So I need to do a bit more work on there. But now I'm going to go on with the green. The greens I'm going to use actually, so I'm going to give it the Tamiya dark green, RAF dark green first, and then a slight over shading of the RAF dark green from AK. So similar as what I've done to the grey, I'm going to do with the green, but I'm going to mask it off so it's the same grey underneath and on top, which is quite nice. So straight line of Tamiya masking tape front on the nose and on the fuselage and along the wing edge, leading edge, and then just using the old mask alt technique of sort of colouring in the grey bits and leaving the green bits exposed. So I'll put the masking tape on now and then I'll just quickly show you what I mean by using the mask alt technique, but you might have seen that on previous videos. I'll just remind you. We've got the mask alt on and the mask done. So we've got a nice straight line with the Tamiya masking tape and just painted on Humbrol mask alt, which I find pretty much the best. So I've loaded up the airbrush with Tamiya XF81, so I'm going to use that as the base coat, then go in with the AK stuff. So about 50-50 mix in the airbrush. See what it's like. Oh dear, let's get some air in there. Right. And so we'll just quickly put a bit on and then we'll go and do something else. Right. So always like try and airbrush away from the edge, you know what I mean? So I'm going to go over like the trailing edges and bits like that. So I'm trying to give it a bit of, just a bit of shadow, a bit of shade. Then I'll kill the compressor. Then I'll go over with a lighter green. Okay, so I'll do that and then we'll come back and I'll show you what I'm going to do with the other green. Right, so now I've got the AK paint in there. I haven't bothered cleaning the cup out. I've just put it on top of the Tamiya paint and a bit more thinners. And that's the sort of effect I've got on the plane at the minute. So it's a bit blotchy and a bit, what's the word I'm looking for, patchy. So I'm going to go in with this now and try and tidy it up a bit. I'll do here first. I'm running out of pressure because I've turned the compressor off. So sort of like that. Right, I'm going to go and switch compressor on and then finish it off, and I'll show you the finished result. Right, there we have the paint on, the green's on. It might look a little patchy. It certainly does under the camera, but not so much under the real light. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to take the mask all off. It's basically just roll it towards the edge of the panel. Come on, it's quite tough stuff. So roll it towards the painted line, and you should hopefully not get any sort of raised paint area. So get a nice smooth line. Right, I'm going to take the rest off, and I'll take the mask off the cockpit as well, and we'll see what it looks like. Then we can get on with the transfers and a bit of weathering, and I'll try and blend this sort of patchy paintwork. And I know what I'm going for. It's quite difficult to weather the Mosquito because it really doesn't have many panel lines, being basically wooden construction aircraft. But we're gonna weather it. Right, oh, gotta put it on the stand. Right, as you can see, that's the mask taken off, and it looks pretty good. Looks half decent. I've given the model a quick coat of gloss varnish just to help the transfers settle down. So I have cut one of the old prehistoric transfers out from the backing paper. We're going to see what it's like. So I always suggest when you're using old transfers, I don't know, can you see that? Is try and hold it flat and just apply warm water with a brush. You really don't want the transfer to curl up, because when it curls up it might crack. So basically I'm just going to drop a load of water on there, see what happens with the transfer, see if it falls apart. We'll give that 30 seconds or a minute and I'll come back. Right, so I've been working it for a couple of minutes with some warm water, and it's starting to move on the backing paper, and it doesn't look like it's cracked. So let's see what it's like. Let's see, it moves nice on the backing paper. Kind of going for it about there. Let's move it around. That's not far off from where I want it to be. A bit further in, I think. Not much. Just check the instructions. Although I'm not quite sure how accurate these ones are from Airfix now. They look a bit vague. And I think I'll bring it in a little bit more. Probably to about there, in line with the pallet underneath for the bomb rack. And okay, I'll let that settle down for a bit. Then I'll just, once it's dry a little bit, I'll run the brush over it to try and sort these corners out. We'll see what it's like when it's dry, whether it needs any additional transfer solution. But I think they look all right. I don't know how old this kit is. It's probably, what you reckon, late 70s, early 80s, and the transfers appear to be working quite well. Obviously early Airfix or Airfix transfers from that date were a bit of hit and miss. These look like they're going to be a decent hit. Well, that's the transfers on, and they've gone on quite well. Nice and smooth finish. I've given them a quick coat of gloss varnish over the top, just to seal them in a bit. They're not perfect, but they have gone on reasonably well, so I'm quite happy with them. Next thing I'm going to do now on the model is start weathering it a little bit. I'm going to use the Humbrol Revell sort of semi-gloss black. Going to airbrush some exhaust stains on. A little bit of staining around the front end there where the guns would fire, a bit of cordite staining, and maybe a bit of add some sort of shadows in around the ailerons and bits like that, and the horizontal stabilizers. Then we're going to go in with a wash, pick out some detailed panel line, a little bit of a dry brush, and then we're going to go in and just pick out some additional colors, sort of a bit of contrast on the paintwork, just to give it the impression of scuffed or worn or just weathered paint, basically. I don't want to go too over the top of this. Looks quite nice, actually. It's very, very difficult to weather a Mosquito really well because it doesn't have many panel lines. But we'll start off by I'm just going to quickly just airbrush a bit of black in some certain areas, and then we'll come back and have a look at that. But it's going to be very, very subtle. As you can see, we've done a bit more work on the paintwork as I said I was going to do. I've also given it a slight dry brush, which has lifted a bit of the detail. Very, very light dry brush, nothing too heavy. Now what I'm going to do is give it a little wash, like on the panel lines and things like that. I know some of you get very excited about these panel washes. So there's me wash there, which is basically made out of these two colours here. Raw umber and some lamp black oil paint, and thinned down with common or garden white spirit. And you get that sort of consistency there. That might be a little bit too thick, but you kind of get the effect when you put it on the plane. I've already finished my Bond book, so I'm on my planes, not cars. So put a bit on the brush there, little dab, run it along there, and you get a bit of capillary action, it'll draw it along. Then if you want to get rid of that excess, just run the brush along it. You see, quite difficult to do with the foamy face. So I'll go across the whole of the model and do all that, and then we'll see what it's like when it's done. What you can do, say if we get a little bit of build up there, just draw it back with a brush, and it'll give it some sort of aerodynamic effect there. So I'm going to go over the whole model and do that, nothing too excessive. And then we're not a million miles away from being finished this model. I've glued the propellers on. You can have them spinning, but I thought I might as well just glue them on. They're not going to be spinning, so no point in having them moving, because they're not the best of fits, but I think that's the best compromise there. Right, there we go. It's got the washers on. I've given another quick dry brush. Dirtied it up a little bit there. I put the bombs on, or I should say bomb, because I've dropped one and I've no idea where it is. I've turned this place upside down and can of hell find it. So at the moment it's only got one bomb on, but I'm sure I'll try and find it, or maybe get one out of the spares box. The canopy, it's a bit rough from Airfix, so I've given the whole thing a coat of this, which is like a black clay wash, and then just wiped it off with a wet cotton bud or Q-tip as you call them in America, just to like leave a little black line around the window frames to really bed it in a bit more, because they're not the most defined. The canopy is going to get masked up, then I'm going to give it a coat of matte varnish. I'll put the aerial in. I'll say I'll try and find that other bomb, and we're pretty much there, mind, almost finished. So I'll polish the stand as well, because it's looking a bit tatty. So I'll get some matte varnish on it. I'll get the line on, I'll finish the navigation light, and then I'll bring a draw to conclusion. Then that'll be another one done. And here we have the completed model. First of all, I'd like to thank Darren. Darren sent us this model several months ago now, so I've just got around to finishing it. So thank you very much, Darren. If you are at the Northeast Model Show next June in North Shields, pop in. It'll be on display. If you want it, it's yours. You can take it. If not, it'll just stay on the shelf with the rest of the models. So it's a 1972 issue. I've just double checked this on ScaleMate. So this is a 1972 issue, and it's obviously even the box is very reminiscent of the olden days. Nice sort of box art, but I've already talked about that. So a 53-year-old kit, simplified, not as modern or not as straightforward. Sorry, not as detailed as modern kits such as the Tamiya one and the Airfix one, which are like outstanding. Especially the Airfix one, the new Airfix one, I should say, the new tooled one, which I think was tooled in 2013, something like that. But this is a really nice project, and it can show you what you can get from like an oldish kit. The shape of it looks pretty good to me. The parts, reasonable fit, as you can see. They're not perfect, but like I say, it's more than acceptable for the that day and age. It's got the nice stand for it to sit on, which you don't get these days. So like I say, I'll give the stand a nice polish, so it's nice and shiny, as you can see. I've just super glued it under the bottom of the bomb bay there, just to give it a bit more stability. Like I say, I haven't found the other bomb yet. I may turn up one day and I'll fit it. So hopefully it'll be there next June at the model show. But otherwise, that is a one completed 1972 Airfix Mosquito. Not much else to say about it. We can move on to the next project shortly. But otherwise, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you in another video sometime soon. But I just want to like point out, usually at the end of the videos I'd put like a montage of images. I don't think I'll do that now, because it just seems to drop right off. No one seems to be interested in watching them. But what I'll do, I will take some images and I'll put them on my Instagram page, which is the same name, Creative Time Wasting. So there'll be a few more detailed photographs on that in the next few days. But otherwise, on to the next project.